Hi, my name is Zachary Martyr. I am a distance learning student for FSU, so I'm recording this in Boca Raton, Florida. This is for the class COP 4020 Programming Languages, and as such is the last class that I need for my computer science degree, so please enjoy this presentation. So let's get started. Today we'll be discussing Delphi. Small overview of what we'll be discussing is a brief history, what it is, distinguishing features, advantages, disadvantages, code examples, a comparison to C++, where it is used, and a conclusion. Now, Delphi is a descendant of Pascal, actually Object Pascal programming language. In 1986, the Borland developers introduced similar extensions to Turbo Pascal, which was Object Pascal, for the Macintosh, and then also in 1989 did the same thing for DOS. When Borland refocused from DOS to Windows in 94, that is when they created Delphi, but as I stated before, it was released in 95. Created by the Borland Developments by creator Danny Thorpe, this is just a code name from the Oracle of Delphi. The reason being is because one of the design goals of the product was to provide database connectivity to the programs as a key feature, and a popular database package was called Oracle Database. Hence, if you want to talk to the Oracle, go to Delphi, or Delphi, depending on your pronunciation. Between 1995 and 2004 is when they created Delphi's versions 1 through 8. And between 5 and 6 in 2001, Borland released Helix, a Linux/Unix version of their own. The IDE was dependent on Wine libraries rather than Linux's native system libraries, and they did this to get the product out quickly and relatively cheaply. Helix also used a new CLX cross-platform framework instead of Delphi's original VCL. Later in 2004 to 2008, you have Delphi versions 9 and 10, respectively, called Delphi 2005 and Delphi 2006. Now, the one in 2005, the Delphi 2005 included design time manipulation of live data from the database. It also included an improved IDE and added a for-in statement, which is similar to C#'s for each to the language. Delphi 2006 was an improvement of the 2005 and was combined development of C#, Delphi.NET, Delphi Win32, and C++. And again, like I said, it was a much greater improvement on Delphi 8 than Delphi 2005. In 2006, Delphi Turbo and C++ was released, bringing back the Turbo name for nostalgia reasons. The Turbo product set included Turbo Delphi for Windows 32, Delphi for .NET, Turbo C++, and Turbo C#. In 2007, they released Delphi 11, which was actually CodeGear. It was that, and CodeGear is another company that they worked with, not sold to, unlike later versions, which we'll get into later. Delphi Prism was developed by REM Object Software and distributed by the company that will eventually take over, Embarcadero, and replaced Delphi.NET. Again, later in 2008, Delphi changed companies from being owned by Borland to Embarcadero. And at this place, they released 7 different versions of Delphi. 2009, which was also Delphi 12, added many new features, such as a completely reworking of the VCL and RTL for full Unicode support. Delphi 2010 released, again, a second Unicode of Delphi, the upgraded version, a new compiler runtime type information system, support for Windows 7, and other such improvements. Delphi XE was released to support Amazon EC2 and Microsoft Azure. And the XE family went on to getting more improvements and additional features, including mobile programming. The starter edition that was released in 2011 was just to show all the different features that XE has. So what is Delphi? Is it a language or is it an environment? In fact, it's actually both. Delphi, again, is a descendant from the Pascal Object Pascal language, procedural language with object-oriented capabilities, but it is also an environment. It's the same thing as Unix. It's the same as Eclipse. You can do other languages in it. You can do the C family, all different types of C. You can do Java. It's very versatile. As I said before, it's a success for the Turbo Pascal. It is a high-level language, and as I briefly just mentioned, its IDE is very similar to Eclipse. So if you ever used Eclipse, you know how to use Delphi. Distinguishing features of Delphi is one, supports rapid application development. Now, this is a very interesting feature. It uses minimal planning in favor of rapid prototyping. The lack of extensive pre-planning generally allows software to be written much faster and makes it easier to change when the requirements need it to. So if you had plan A, you might end up with plan D or E or F or etc. It supports rapid native cross compilation, meaning it uses more than just its own language. You can compile other native languages. Said before, it uses Object Pascal. The only other one is Pascal, so that is strictly unique. It is database connectivity is also supported. Again, this was a big feature when it first came out, with the whole quip about the Oracle database, Oracle Delphi, etc. Later versions have included an upgraded and enhanced runtime library. Advantages. This language is very strongly typed. In fact, Pascal itself, its predecessor, it's been described as being too strong because the size of an array or string is part of its type, making some programming tasks very difficult. However, being strongly typed, you're able to do so much more. Everything is set up the way it needs to be set. It's arithmetic to arithmetic. If the error shows up, it's an error that can easily be fixed or changed. Nothing will be converted incorrectly and show up wrong. The error will come up first before it comes up wrong in runtime and compile time. Meta classes are first objects, and just as Java is and Android, etc., objects are references to other objects and implicitly dereferenced, null terminal strings, dedicated reference counter strings. There is no pointers, which is always a plus, I believe. Again, that means there's also no need for memory allocation. Manually, it's done for you. The garbage collector is done for you. It's a very, very simple, easy task that a lot of people would like to not have to deal with. Strings can be concatenated by the plus operator, and we'll get to that later in a code example that I'll show you. RAD, as I mentioned earlier. Great feature here is a backwards compatibility. Code from version 1 that was released in 94, 95 can still be used today. That is a great way of coding. Reusability is a great advantage to any language. However, though, its slight disadvantage also is in its backward compatibility because some libraries have been updated or they've been replaced. So even though if I took a code from version 1 of Delphi and used it in today, I probably still can use it. I would just need to tweak it a little bit to the libraries used today, change a few keywords here and there. Welcome to the code portion of the presentation. Here is the website mbarcadero.com. You go to the products, free trials, and you can download the RAD Studio XE5 to work in the environment that I am working in. So let's just go here. And here it is. The RAD Studio XE5. It's very similar to Eclipse, with Java and Android programming and all types of mobile programming. You can do it here as well. So let's start it up. Projects. We'll go to a new project, and because we're working the console, click on console, press OK. I know that, and here we go. And we have some nice generated code, but honestly, we're going to get rid of it because I want to start from scratch with you. And here we go. So we started off with a program, and the program's name is Hello World. This is pretty much int main, starting it up. And again, since we are working as a console, we do squiggly brackets, $, app type, console. If it was a GUI, you would put GUI here instead, but we're just doing a console. And then we're doing a simple function like cout, so to do that, in any function, you use the word begin for anything at all. Indent, right line, and for a string, you only do a single quote, not a double quote. Hello world, close, end the quote and close it up. And so the console just doesn't exit out on us. We write in read line and just end it like that, simple, no extra. And to end the program, we type the word end with a period. If this wasn't the last end, like you would have another end after it, we would do a semicolon. But this is the last end, so we don't have to worry about that. And let's run the program. No errors showed up, good, and there it is, hello world. Press enter, and it goes away. Now, we're going to do a little extra here, a little variables, string variable. And to first do that, we're going to get some uses in here. It's sort of like the libraries of C++ and Java, or what you import in Java. System utilities, shorthand version of that. Type in a variable with var, and you start by actually saying what the variable's name is. So it's going to be name, and then you do colon, and then you designate what type it is. It's a string, and it means semicolon. In here, change this to please enter your name, and go back to read line, and it's going to read in the string this time, so we want to put parentheses, name. I've already copied this to make things go faster. Read line, we want to skip a line. Do that. And do that there. Now, your name is space, so we can have space between the two. Use the plus operator to add or concatenate a string to the write out that we're doing. Close it up, semicolon. We're going to do another line. And then I'm going to do another write out just to remind people what to do. Press enter to exit. And again, so it doesn't just exit on its own. Reline and done. And let's debug it here. Let's run it. No errors, thankfully. It says please enter your name. I'm going to do that right now. It reads out as your name is Zachary Martyr, which is true. I press enter and it exits. Thank you for watching. Please enjoy the rest of the presentation. And here we have a code comparison of the Hello World from Delphi to C++. So as you can see, program is similar to int main. We don't have an include because we're not using anything. Begin for the write line and then read line. We don't need a read line for C++, but since it's unnecessary, people might say, oh, one seems more simple than the other. When you get into more extensive code, that's when I believe it'd be more useful in Delphi to have the begin and end than having the squiggly brackets. Where it is used? Well, it's actually used in practically everything. Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, anything. It's very similar to Java and C++. It's used in both apps, gaming apps, mobile apps, apps on your computers. It's very versatile. It's used practically in every place. Small conclusion, as said before, Delphi is cross-compiler, used with different languages, environments. It's used in many products and programs that we use today. Reusable code is always a good thing, and it's very easy to learn, especially if you already know Java and C++. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day. That is my presentation on Delphi. Again, my name is Zachary Martyr.